Pets Add Life, your guide to the latest in pet trends, products, and the joy of the human-animal bond, with Kristen Levine and Chris Bonifati, powered by the American Pet Products Association and Dog TV.
Hello, pals! Welcome to another wonderful episode of the Pet Add Life podcast. I'm Chris Bonifati, joined as always by the lovely, and now I'm drawing a blank because this is we're filming this at 4 a.m. in a warehouse. This is the 6th episode in a row that we filmed.
One adjective is plenty. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, she's absolutely lovely, and her name is Kristen Levine. Kristen, welcome.
Hey, Chris. Great to see you again. You're wearing the same thing you wore last week.
Well, yeah, because it's 4 a.m. in a warehouse, and this is our 6th episode. This is all lighting, yeah.
Hey, we got a great show today. We've got one of our favorite guests that we are going to be having. I won't tell you who it is, but he's inventing a new, what do you call it? Like holiday or awareness week?
Awareness week.
Awareness week, yes.
Yeah, and we're going to hear all about that. And I love it when people put these awareness weeks forward. It's almost like survival of the awareness, where there's a lot of people trying to push them. Only the strong may remain. But I've got a really good feeling about this one. I've got a really good feeling. I think it's going to stick for a while. But other than that, hey, we've got two total guests. So you're going to hear from that guest and one other. We're going to tell two awesome stories. We've got two just absolutely fundamentally incredible products to introduce to you all. And then when it's all said and done, we're going to answer two of your hot burning questions. We picked the hottest, spiciest, just absolutely most delectable, gobble it up, lick your fingers afterwards questions to answer this week. So you're going to want to hold on to your horses. Don't touch that dial. Don't even think about it. I see you. I'm looking at you right now. I'm looking at you through the camera, through the airwaves of your radio, and I see your finger hovering over the next button. And I'm telling you, if you do that,
Chris,
we're not friends anymore. And if you're still listening, you're one of my besties. So there we go.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's get into
longest
this
intro.
Yeah, let's get into this episode of the Pal Podcast.
Kristen and Chris present Story Time.
Okay, Chris, it is story time. And I'm going to let you kick it off this time.
Okay, yeah, I'm going for the first time this year. I'm putting on my lab coat, and Crispy the Science G is coming out.
Oh, goody.
Because I want to talk about pangolins, which are kind of like little armadillo guys. And they're like little armadillo, scaly, sort of like mammalian almost, but like almost look reptilian. They're adorable. And this is a really cool story that I saw in a scientific journal, but I'm going to put like a summary. I don't expect anybody to read the science like I do, because I'm a nerd.
Geek.
But I'm just trying to find the name of the scientist. This is the Zoological Survey of India. So the Zoological Survey of India conducted a DNA analysis on an array of pangolins, and they have discovered a new species of Asian pangolin. And what does that mean? Why is this a big deal? Well, the big deal is that pangolins are largely endangered. And when animals can't adapt to their surroundings, they go extinct.
Right.
When new species become discovered and emerge, it means that the animal is adapting and is finding new ways to alter its DNA through evolution to adapt to ever-changing times. Now, while this creature has probably been around for a while, they trace its DNA back to like something like 3.4 million years is where they believe that split in DNA happened. Discovering it now for the first time for such a rare creature is huge in the scientific community. It's great news for conservationists. It's great news for little cute animal fans who love seeing these guys. So I just thought it's like a pretty uplifting story. It's really cool how they do these DNA analysis. The link to the actual scientific journals in the article, if you're a nerd like me and you want to see all about the study, I highly recommend it. But I just thought it was a really cool one to share with all my fellow animal lovers.
Chris, I really think you missed your calling in life. I think you would have made a great science teacher, like high school science teacher.
Yeah, I think I would have done that if teachers weren't the most mistreated profession in
Underpaid.
America. I think I definitely would have gone on, and who knows, maybe I should have done it, and I could have pulled like a Walter White and just broke bad. You know, he was a chemistry teacher for about an episode there.
Half an episode.
Yeah, just one episode.
Oh, well, I've got another scientific sort of story for you. I'm excited to share that a brand new study shows how deep the bond between dogs and their people really is. Scientists have discovered something really amazing, and that is that our dogs' hearts actually sync up with our hearts when we're together. How cool is that?
Yeah, I've heard of this one before. I've heard Habry talk about this kind of
stuff.
Yeah,
I saw it on the Habry website. And so this is from the University of Helsinki. And they found that the dog's heart rate actually adapts to match their owner's heart rate during certain interactions. And they studied 25 dog owner pairs. And they did focus on certain breeds like retrievers and herding dogs. So they monitored both dogs and their owners during activities like playing, petting, and training. And the synchronization only happened, this is not surprising to me, but the synchronization only happened between the actual dog owner and the dog, not with like the trainer or, some random person, obviously. I think it's pretty cool. And I think it proves scientifically what many of us have already kind of felt is that emotional connection with our dogs is real and it's actually measurable. So, just like a parent and child can influence each other's emotional states, we now know, and we have scientific proof, that dogs and their humans share that same kind of emotional connection.
Yeah, you put it best, proving through science what we all already know to be true. If I believe Habry's website is habry.org. I'm pretty sure
Habri.
Yes, it is habri.org. They have all sorts of cool research that is very similar to the story that Kristen just shared with you all. So go ahead and take a look if you want to read some more.
Yeah.
Beyond the Leash, exploring the untold stories of pet passion and professionalism.
I am so excited to introduce our guest, my friend, my colleague, Dr. Courtney Campbell, who is a renowned veterinary surgeon. He's also a media personality and an advocate for animal wellness. With board certification in small animal specialty surgery, he's become a trusted voice in veterinary medicine, combining expertise with a flair for entertainment. And he's got a great personality. He makes complex topics really accessible, inspiring, and entertaining. Dr. Courtney is also the chief creative officer at Vet Candy, and he leads the surgical team at, wait for it, Stitches Veterinary Surgery Center. Greatest name ever for a veterinary surgery center. This is in Long Beach, California, and his practice offers cutting-edge surgical solutions, including orthopedic surgery, minimally invasive techniques, and surgical oncology. Now, recently he was featured on Dog TV's new show Vets A to Z, and Dr. Courtney his impact extends far beyond the operating room. As the veterinary field evolves, he remains a steadfast advocate for independent, community-driven pet care. Now, one of the reasons we wanted to have Dr. Courtney on the show is because Pet Surgery Week is approaching, and we've got some questions about Pet Surgery Week. It sounds like a really cool awareness week. It's not till March, but we're going to dive into that a little bit here. Welcome, Dr. Courtney.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me. With an intro like that, I feel like I should just retire or something.
Yeah, let's just wrap it up.
We actually don't need an interview because I just mentioned everything in it. Just kidding.
By far the best intro. Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, it's something I've been looking forward to. I always look forward to chatting with you guys. And yeah, I can't believe it, but it's a brand new day for the launch of our surgical center here in Long Beach, California. So it's just a beautiful year to start off with.
Let's start off with that. I want to hear about Stitches, how you came up with the name, and tell us a little bit about the surgery center.
Yeah, it's a fascinating question because I'll be honest with you, to be completely transparent, it is something that I grappled with because in my history, just in my tenure within veterinary medicine, I've been part of some outstanding practices, and they've always kind of run or been known by their acronym, whether it's Animal Surgical Emergency Center, Veterinary Referral Emergency, and right, and it's just everybody just knows it by the letters. And so when I had this, I guess you could call it sort of whimsical name, I hesitated because I wasn't sure. But what I really focused on was what's something that's relatable to the pet families out there and pet parents out there. Also, what is something that takes the fear out of surgery as well, because veterinary surgery or taking your dog in for surgery can be a very stressful or anxious event, and it shouldn't have to be that way. It shouldn't have to be.
Yep.
And so just starting from the name to the way that we practice, the goal is to make it more relatable, more less scary, and drive down the anxiety. And I think that if you can start with the name, that's a good place to start.
Yeah,
I love
and
it.
thinking in terms of like having a bit of a more approachable name to your practice, you're bearing the torch on Pet Surgery Awareness Week. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the nature of that week, what you're trying to accomplish, and maybe some cool things coming down the line in pet surgery that could save a lot of our furry friends' lives.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. There are fortunately some really outstanding people doing great work in terms of pet awareness throughout the year, right? For one example is Pet Dental Month, right? And then we know that that's in February. We know that Animal Cruelty Awareness Month is throughout the year, right? So there's certain times of the year where we draw attention to pets, and I think that Pet Surgery Week is an outstanding time to do that. And what really it's about is the word commitment. There are so many pet parents who are committed to their pet's well-being and committed to their pet's health. One tiny example is the use of a cone collar, right? Or the use of a foam collar or donut collar. That's a commitment to say, hey, listen, my pet just had surgery and I'm committed to their aftercare so that they don't lick or groom that surgery site. Mm-hmm. And when I see a pet parent who comes in with one of those collars on or a different permutation, let's say a t-shirt to cover the surgical incision, to me, I say, wow, look at that. They're committed. They're committed towards the aftercare. They're committed to getting their pet healthier. Pet parents who do follow-up after surgery, they come in for x-rays to see how that fracture is healing. To me, that's a commitment. They've made a commitment to their pet's well-being to do follow-up care and investigate a big mass or a tumor that's growing, unfortunately. They're saying, hey, listen, this is not normal. This tumor is getting bigger. I'm committed to my pet's health. Let's go get that investigated. And once we determine it's time for surgery, we can remove it. So for me, Pet Surgery Week is just about the passion and the commitment from everybody. Pet families, the veterinarian, and the staff that surrounds them.
Yeah, that's a great way to explain it, and that's coming up in March, right? Is that it's a new event that you created, and we're excited to help you promote it. I will be honest,
it's exciting because right now it doesn't exist, right? So the cool thing is you can during this week in March, it's going to be all hands on deck and everybody's going to participate. So I'm excited about this going down, and there's going to be some exciting stuff coming up in the future. We're going to be talking a little bit about the other side, right? The other side of the spectrum where we're talking about advanced imaging, the use of CT scans, the use of something called fluoroscopy, which is like a video x-ray. I specialize in something called arthroscopy, which is taking a camera and putting it inside of a joint. So there's everything from the commitment to pet families to sort of advanced imaging techniques. We kind of cover the whole spectrum.
I love it. I love it. And kind of along the lines of bringing pet parents and veterinarians together in terms of the knowledge and education, you have a role both as a surgeon, but also as a media personality. So how do you use a platform like Vet Candy to bridge that gap between veterinarians and pet parents?
It is that beautiful nexus, which I call infotainment, or edutainment, right? Where you can provide education in a very riveting, engaging, and dynamic way, because the reality is sometimes this information can be pretty heavy. And, people are tired at the end of the day. I don't want anybody falling asleep, right? So if we can take the information and make the information the star, right? Make the education the star of the show. And if I'm a conduit for that, then on Vet Candy, able to take platforms and we talk about wound care. We talk about suturing. We try to educate other veterinarians as to regarding orthopedic disease, right? So we're able to take education and hopefully take it to the next level, because I've been to vet school, internships, residencies, and they're not always those times are not always the most entertaining times. So if we can change that a little bit, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. And, we have a lot of listeners out here who are pet parents. Obviously, this is a pet podcast. What are some ways they could get involved, or what sorts of resources should they be on the lookout for so that they could learn more in case, nobody ever wants their pet to have surgery. But if it were to happen, they obviously want as many resources as possible. Where could they go to kind of find more and stay on top of these sorts of things?
That's a great question. So I truly believe in meeting pet parents where they are, right? And a lot of pet parents are cruising on socials. A lot of pet parents, fortunately, are on dog TV. A lot of pet parents are on the interwebs looking at digital content. And so I was fortunate enough during my grand opening this Sunday to have on all of my monitors in the hospital just a nice constant playlist and stream of dog TV. And I've been able to, fortunately, with the help of that, you guys, just an outstanding team, is produce some great content with dog TV in terms of, animals A to Z, right? And we just go down that alphabetical list and provide preventative care techniques, early detection, and just lean in and dig into what it actually means to take care of your pet. Obviously, Vet Candy, digital platform there. My social platform, at Dr. Courtney DVM. There's information there that you can glean from. So, and more content will be continuing to come out, right? And so a podcast like this is a great way on your commute, right? Instead of like sitting in traffic and getting frustrated, you can listen to an outstanding podcast like this and continue to get information and resources. So I would say for any pet parent who's listening, stay tuned to this podcast because there's going to be more every week that comes out that I think is going to be so powerful. And then on top of that, we're going to be producing new and exciting content in 2025. So listen, if you stay tuned, I think there's exciting things to come.
You're doing my job for me. I'm going to be out of a job. I thought AI was going to take my job, but no, it's Dr. Courtney Campbell. He's gunning for it.
Well, Chris, he did co-host. He did co-host a couple of episodes.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. He's pretty good at this kind of stuff.
No, it's just like I said. It's a privilege to be on with you guys. And I one thing that I love more than anything is your passion. Right, I can feel it, and people can hear it. And I know people who are listening are equally as passionate. So at the end of the day, we're all dog people, right? And so that's what makes it fun.
And I think you found a great niche, Dr. Courtney, in the concept of surgery and making it less scary. And kudos to that. And we're excited to see all the things you do at Stitches and to watch you on social and that sort of thing. And I know you've got patients waiting for you, so we're going to let you go. But it's always great to have you on the show and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much. You guys have been fantastic. And like I said, exciting things to come. And I'm really fortunate to be with you.
All right. Thank you.
We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye. He's always so fun to talk to. And I really do love the name Stitches for the practice. I was skiing in, I don't remember if it was Beaver Creek or Breckenridge one year. And I noticed a veterinary hospital called Dog and Cat Repair. And I thought that was the cutest name. But when we went back the next year, it had been bought by a corporation and they changed the name to like
something.
Yeah. But I'm like, oh, that was such a cute name. I guess, but whatever. Clever.
Pets add life.
And continuing on with Dog Training Month, we are now welcoming Grisha Stewart, an internationally acclaimed dog trainer, author, and speaker known for her transformative work in dog reactivity and canine empowerment. Based in Oregon, Grisha founded Ahimsa Dog Training in Seattle in 2003, a pioneer in force-free training that garnered multiple awards, including Best of Seattle and Best of Western Washington. She is also the visionary behind the Grisha Stewart Academy, an online hub for dog trainers and families offering over 150 courses and webinars on dog behavior. Grisha's groundbreaking approach to training is encapsulated in her widely celebrated behavior adjustment training, you might hear us call it BAT, methodology, outlined in her books, including Behavior Adjustment Training 2.0. These techniques, rooted in compassion and nonviolence, empower dogs and their families by addressing the underlying causes of fear, aggression, and reactivity. So that is our quick introduction. Grisha, how are you doing today? Welcome. Thanks for joining the show.
Thank you. I feel great. It was sunny outside yesterday. I still feel pretty sunny today. So I'm really glad to be here.
You are lucky. On the East Coast, it is nothing but clouds and cold.
So glad you brought some sun.
Yes. I mean, I don't have any right now, like right this minute outside, it's cloudy, but I've just internally, I carry some of the sun from yesterday. So
there we go. That is a great attitude to have.
The downside of the sun is the cold, but
yes,
we'll take it.
But what are you going to do? Right. So my first question, reading through that introduction, let's talk about your BAT methodology. I think that for the listeners would be the thing that jumps out as the biggest unknown there. So can you walk us through your theory and methodology and what maybe makes it a little different from other dog training theories?
Sure. So BAT stands for Behavior Adjustment Training, which the intentionality behind that is that we adjust the behavior, but we also are meeting the need of the dog. So basically there's this sequence of behavior where they bark or growl or whatever it is in order to feel more safe or to maintain access to something that makes them satisfied. And so if all we're doing is kind of in the other theories, if we're just punishing them for doing something that we don't like, or we're reinforcing with treats for some behavior that we do like, we're missing the key element, which is the behavior exists for a reason. It exists to meet a need. And so our work it's functional, so using kind of technical term, and it's really about giving the dog enough space and time to be able to make different choices and to rehearse those at a distance where they feel comfortable, and then gradually allowing them to get closer. And so the human role, instead of where in a lot of training it's about directing the dog, in BAT, the role is more of a parachute, that we're there to monitor their nervous system and see whether they can handle the situation they're in right now. And if they can't, then we're tracking that.
Yeah, I love that approach. And thanks for describing that for us. I'm curious to know, is there a difference between behavior adjustment training and behavior modification? Behavior modification is a term that I hear quite frequently.
Yeah.
So how are they different?
So behavior modification is a big umbrella category of looking at behavior and seeing how we can change it. So there's a whole science of that. And behavior adjustment training, it's a technique that I came up with essentially for my own dog, Peanut, but also I was a trainer. I had lots of aggressive dog classes going on, or classes for dog aggression. And so it's a more specific thing that we're specifically like what to do in this moment, how to move our hands, how to walk away, what behavior we're looking for. So it's a subcategory of a behavior modification technique.
Gotcha. Okay, That makes sense. So I had my other question. I just wanted to get that question answered real quick. So a lot of listeners might have reactive dogs. I've had a reactive dog, many years ago. What are some common mistakes that pet parents make when trying to manage the reactivity, and what are some simple strategies they can start using right away?
So one of the main mistakes is looking at, people tend to put dogs in situations where they just cannot handle it and then try to figure out what to do from there. And so the fix for that is to look, like, sort of zoom out and look at the entire, nervous system of the dog and see, like, can we work on the baseline in these other places? So that's not bad. That's just sort of good practice. And then specifically when we're when we're close enough that we're really monitoring the dogs, just like how comfortable they can be. So I'm just going to loop back to your question, which is, what are the mistakes people make? A lot of it is driven by wanting our dogs to sort of just deal with the situation that we have, right? And so we're like, I have company. I want them to be able to handle that. And that's great. And if you were a person who's afraid of spiders and you have a partner who has a collection of spiders, like it may not be like a person
break up.
Right, you break up, right? Or the person is like, you know what? Actually, I don't have to have this collection of spiders, right? Somebody's got to be considerate of somebody else in that picture. And so it's really humbling. It's a lesson in consideration. And also it's a lesson in recognizing that we are not our dogs, and that if maybe we want to show up for someone else in a certain situation, and we're willing to make sacrifices of ourselves to be able to show up for that person, we cannot make our dog make those sacrifices too. Like, we have to take their nervous system into account. They're a separate being.
Incredible. So that's some really great points, though. If my wife were to ever start collecting spiders, divorce papers served immediately. I want to talk a little bit about the Grisha Stewart Academy, because I was on the website. I was poking around a little bit, and I think it's really a really cool concept. So can you talk a little bit about what inspired you to start that, and maybe talk about some of the upcoming content that's going to be released on that website?
Sure. So what inspired me to create it as an online school was many years ago. I lived in Alaska and I was traveling around the world teaching, and I was home for about 1 week out of the year. So part of it was just like, we need a way like better than sending my physical body around the planet. So I did that for about 10 years, and then eventually was like, okay, this is enough of this. As much as I loved to travel, and meet people and all the things. And then also along the way, I met these wonderful humans who know much more than me about other things. And so I love collaborating with other people. I always have had a practice of hiring people that are smarter than me to work with. And so so there's people that I love learning. And so I wanted a place where I can learn too. And so we have, like you said, it's 150. It's actually probably 160 or so by now. It just keeps growing, which is lovely as a thing. And so some of our next classes, we've got Rex in the City, the pun. So for urban dogs, we also have, like, for example, a class that's already on demand called Urban Bat. So how to do my technique in the city. And that's taught by Vivian Arzumanian, who lives in New York City. And so, like, there are things that I can teach, and having other people who bring their insights and their practices and their experiences with dogs to it just makes a much more rich experience. And then also our school is one of the unique pieces is that we care as much about the human as we do about dogs. And so we have a class called How to Human in there. Other upcoming things for members, for example, we have a session where Tom Candy from the UK will be going over studies. So people will be bringing examples with their own dogs and comparing, like, in the context of the classes that we're teaching, how do we apply it to this dog? So it's a great space. Claire Goyer is the head of the school now, which is lovely to have a great administrator. She's doing all sorts of great things with that.
I wanted to ask you about, I know that you often talk about canine empowerment and collaborative relationships like you just were. Mm-hmm. How does that philosophy redefine traditional training methods and strengthen our bonds with our dogs?
I could talk about that for a whole week. So,
we're going to need you to do it in about 2 minutes.
2 minutes. All right. Let's do the succinct version. So, so when I say traditionally, I mean more like since World War II. So traditionally, there's been this structure of hierarchy because a lot of our training in the Western world comes from the military. And so it's very much like somebody's in charge, they are the boss, they make the dog do the thing. And that's very different than the way that we approach life and dogs for many reasons. And one of them it's going to maybe sound a little out there, but is that how we do one thing is how we do everything. So the ways we relate to our dogs is also how we might relate to our children or our partners or the parts of ourselves. And so by learning to navigate with equity, so that every being, every part of us is taken into account, we have a chance to limit the aggression in the world. And so we can do that in bite size by looking at the aggression or the problems or the jumping up or the whatever it is with our dogs. We can rehearse in that space and have that carry over to all these other spaces.
You did a great job summarizing that.
Thank you.
I feel like you really have that down pat. But we are coming up to the end of our time. So I just want to give you the opportunity to let our dear listeners listening on their way to work or at home while cleaning or while relaxing on their comfy couch with their furry companion, where they can go to learn more about the school, about your philosophy, and follow your journey, hear more from you.
Sure. They can go to grishastewart.com. And from there are two pathways that they can take. One is to the Grisha Stewart Academy, and the other is actually to a project that I'm working on called Stellar Village, which is basically applying this directly to the human side of things.
Wow.
Very cool.
You are keeping yourself busy, it seems.
Yes, I am.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for
Grisha.
taking the time. Yeah, this was
Thank you
great.
so much. This was great. Yeah.
I love what she said about, as humans with dogs, that we sometimes have to be humble and considerate
Yes.
of where they're at. And instead of always trying to make them accommodate what we want them to accommodate.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, just what a wholesome and holistic way to close out Dog Training Month. Really great capstone on it. Definitely check out the Grisha Stewart Academy. She let me know that they've got a class coming up called Resilience Framework, which sounds really awesome. She's working on all these, not just human-animal bond projects, but also just humanism and bettering yourself and improving your outlook on life. And then the year of radical self-care, big thumbs up from Chris over here.
Another class for you, Chris. You're going to be busy.
Yeah, they're really piling up.
The product of the week.
And now it is time for the product of the week.
We need a drum roll too.
Yeah, we need a lot. We're asking for a lot here. We need a drum roll. We need fireworks. I need lasers. Ron, let's get lasers. Need lasers. Kristen, why don't you go ahead and go first? What do you got first?
Okay. All right. Okay. This is something that you need to get for Tiger.
Okay.
I'm loving this and loving this product. Okay. With temperatures dropping, we've been talking about how cold it is in both of our locations. So this is a great product for cats, especially senior kitties and or ones with achy joints. It's called the Need is spelled KNEAD, appropriately, therapeutic bed. And it's actually the world's first therapeutic cat bed designed for cats with arthritis. Now, it was designed by veterinarians and feline behaviorists, and it uses this special nano heating technology. So it gives like a gentle cat-friendly warmth that it can't get too hot. So obviously perfect for those cold winter days. And the bed it uses memory foam, and it's ergonomically designed with special contours that support your cat's joints. So I think that would be a great bed for Tiger. And also it has amazing reviews online. It's got a perfect 5-star rating from over 150 cat parents.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty cool.
You sold Tiger when you said heated, because her winters consist of following the sun around. And then when the sun goes down, going into like her little, it's like this random box we got I think like a storage container in. It's like a very small box, maybe like that wide. I'm about 6 inches up for those of you who refuse to watch the video version of the show. And we've left it for her because she loves going in there and she has to like squeeze in, but it keeps her all warm. So maybe she does need a nice ergonomic heated bed.
I think so too. And it's the website is, we'll put a link in the show notes, but it's called needcats.com. Need is, again, KNEAD. But listen to this. Well, first of all, right now it's 30% off. Regularly $239. Now it's $169. I don't know how long that is. But they even have a try before you buy option.
Ooh,
I think they give you
good.
a certain period of time, before you actually pay for it. But I thought that was pretty cool too. So you're welcome, Tiger. What what do you have for us, Chris?
Well, I'm keeping the cat theme going because I found I didn't find, but we oftentimes do some research when it comes to these products of the week. And Tiger is a simple cat. She doesn't use a lot of stuff compared to other cats or dogs. I mean, dogs use so much more stuff. But I've always given Tiger the same treat, and recently Tiger's been stressing me out at mealtime because you just want to sit down and eat your food like normal and like relax. And she's all up in the business she'll get her paws in the buffalo sauce and then lick it and then throw up. Like it's a mess. So I give her treats and a little thing so that she's distracted and will eat those and not bother us when we're eating dinner. Well, I've been wanting to up her treat game a bit, and I've tried a few that haven't worked. And this is next up on the list, but I have a really good feeling about this. It's from Inaba, and they make those churro tubes, but she doesn't like the tubes because she wants to chew on something. But these are churro bites, and they're almost like a soft treat. So it's great for Tiger because she doesn't like to crunch on hard food. She's old. She doesn't have the teeth for it. And I was looking through the ingredient list and the nutritional facts and the guaranteed analysis, and I gotta say, I'm impressed. We're talking chicken, water, tuna, tapioca, egg white, and then we get into the preservatives, and there's three preservatives, a vitamin E supplement, and then a green tea extract. I don't know what the green tea extract does, but that sounds pretty good to me. So they're soft because I've tried like the freeze dried, because she goes nuts for chicken. I've tried like freeze dried chicken, which is one ingredient chicken. She doesn't like it. And then I tried like the dollar store treats, and she goes nuts for it. But I know that those aren't good for the cat.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, I got to find something that has like that little bit of not artificial, but that little bit of added oomph that they throw in there to really get the cat going for it, because the pure stuff isn't, because I need the break. I need to put these treats down in her little toy, and I need to be able to focus on whatever I need to accomplish.
You need something that works. Something that works for her.
I need something that works. And this Inaba for these treats was chosen by Pet Age for an Editor's Choice Award in 2024. Cool. So that's how I found out about it. And I'm going to give him a whirl. I'll report back, let everybody know how it went.
Oh, she's going to love it. She's going to love that and her new therapeutic bed.
Yes, her very expensive therapeutic bed that I'm going to be a sucker. And I see 30% off, and I'm like, that basically means it's free, right?
Q&As.
All right, pals, and it's time for our favorite part of the show. We are going to answer 2 burning, spicy, hot, super pressing, need the answer right now questions from you, our beloved audience. And I know what you're thinking. I could read minds. Doesn't matter if you're listening to this. I could do it through the radio. And you're thinking, how do I get my question answered by Chris and Kristen? Well, it's quite simple, folks. You head on over to petsaddlife.org/podcast. Scroll on down to the bottom of the page, and you'll see a form to submit your question. Or if you're feeling as brave as Dr. Courtney Campbell about to perform a surgery, or one of his patients who's about to have surgery, you can record your voice, upload it, have it played live for everybody to hear. You could be as famous as Kristen Levine. They would have thought.
Well, that's inspiring.
You didn't say it like it was. You said that pretty flatly. Oh man. Okay. Well, without further ado, let's hop into today's questions.
Yes, let's do it. I'm gonna toss you the first question.
Ask me first? Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is from Taylor in Chicago.
Okay.
Shout out to Chicago. All right, Taylor says, "Hey, I've heard about dogs having separation anxiety, but I think my cat Biscuit might have it. She seems stressed and even destructive when I leave her alone for long periods. Is cat separation anxiety a real thing? And how can I help her feel more secure when I'm away?"
It is for sure a real thing. Taylor, thank you for the question. It's for sure a real thing. Way less common than dogs. Dogs are very much so like that. I need something around me. Cats, you think about in nature, there's a lot of cats that have a herd or pride that live in like a family unit. And then there's cats that are fully independent. That like you think of jaguars, mountain lions, right? Largely just kind of on their own. Bobcats kind of on their own. It's not as prevalent, but it could totally happen. Could totally, definitely, 100% happen. So the advice is largely the same for dogs, but it's a little different with cats simply because
A cat's not a dog.
Yeah, cat is not a dog. And if your cat is a dog, you're going to want to take it to the vet. Don't ask me. There's a lot of really great products out there. We've talked about a lot of them on the show that are sort of automated enrichment toys, things like balls or little mice that'll sort of roam around on the ground and sort of distract and entertain. I think sometimes too, cat owners misinterpret loneliness and anxiety with just boredom sometimes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the cat it's not separation anxiety. They're just bored without you around. They're more entertained when you're there to bother. And cats do bother us on purpose. You think, yes. You see the videos of cats knocking things off of counters?
Yeah.
That's to get attention. They don't do that when they're alone. They see you and they're like, oh, if I do this, he's going to pay attention to me right now. Sometimes cats are just craving attention. They're a little bored. So some stimulation toys are good. If you're going to be gone for, I think extended period of time is very different for cat owners because I've left my cat home alone for upwards of 3 days. And Tiger's fine on her own, automatic feeder, water thing, cameras, the whole deal, and she's good. If your version of extended time is that, you might have to have a pet sitter come drop in on the cat and make sure that they're okay. But if you're saying extended is like a work day, get some puzzle toys or licky mats and stuff like that. Something that's going to take them a little bit longer to get through and they're eventually going to grow tired of and then go to sleep. So I hope that's helpful. It's not as clear cut as it is with dogs where it's like, yes, the dog is definitely anxious because I'm gone. It's way more difficult to tell what's going on in those cats' little noggins. But if you do start to see a decrease in appetite or a lack of interest in things they're always interested in, do please take the cat to the vet. Yes. Because it can be indicative of a greater problem.
Excellent answer.
I try.
You got one for me?
I do. I have a question here. We're going right on back to Denver, Colorado. We were just there, but we're going back. We've got fans in Denver.
We do.
And this question comes from Marcus. Marcus asks, "Hi, my dog isn't a fan of socializing with other dogs and gets really nervous around groups." Aww. Lots of nervous animals these days, but that's why we're here. I don't want to push him too hard, but I know socialization is important. What steps can I take to help him feel more comfortable without overwhelming him?
Well, that's a thoughtful question, Marcus. I'm glad that you're that concerned about. I don't think you mentioned the dog's name, did he?
Max. Dog is
okay,
Max.
Yeah.
I skipped right over it because my eyes are bad.
No worries. And actually, I think this is a really great question considering we just talked to Grisha. What I want to say first is that I think the goal here isn't necessarily to make Max love other dogs. It's to help him feel safe and comfortable in his world. So, some dogs can learn to enjoy socializing while others are just going to be happier, hanging around with humans. And either way, it's fine. But it's certainly possible that he can learn to be, more social or not be, fearful or uncomfortable around other dogs. So, if that's the case, you want to give that a try. I would say, skip a dog park where there's like a lot of dogs and, things that can make him nervous. Take him maybe to a quiet park that's more like a people park, maybe where dogs are being walked, and keep distance between Max and the other dogs. And I would say treat him, reinforce that when he's calm, make sure he understands that, he's been a good boy. And then maybe you can kind of close that distance in a little bit. Also, you can try, interactions between just one dog and Max to see how they do, starting out again, with the dog not in close proximity to Max, but see how he does as the other dog. Maybe you get a friend to help you with this. How he does as you move the dog closer. I think ultimately, if he's just not comfortable, then Max is just one of those dogs that isn't comfortable with other dogs, and you'll probably want to make some modifications to make sure that he's not uncomfortable. So we can't force it, but we can certainly set him up for success by starting slow and introducing more social interaction as he's comfortable with it. So good luck with that. And Max, nothing to be afraid of. Other dogs are your friends. Sometimes.
Another
not always.
Great answer, Kristen. You're on fire lately.
I'm trying.
Starting off 2025 just hot.
I slack all week so I can bring my best to the show.
That is incredible. I wish that were my case. Yeah, I'm over here. I was talking about how many support tickets I closed out in my day job. I wish this was my day job. This is my night gig. It is 4 a.m. in a warehouse, and this is our 6th episode that we're filming today. After all,
it's a marathon.
But I'm looking forward to some slacking off. And speaking of slacking off, that's the end of the episode, which means everybody gets a chance to go do nothing and be lazy. And hey, well, listen, folks, thank you for joining us. It means a lot. We're back every single Tuesday. We're not stopping anytime soon.
That's right. You can't make us stop.
You can't.
Just keep listening.
You can try. It won't work. We're on social media, and follow us on YouTube. Find the videos on Dog TV. Look at our beautiful faces as we continue to improve our little home and office studios, as Chris continues to add Easter eggs to his backdrop, and Kristen continues to have a much more attractive space than Chris. It's just, you could watch the nuclear arms race of knickknacks between Kristen and I evolve, and you only get that wonderful content if you're watching us on video. But until then...
Sorry.
Sorry, I stunned Chris.
I'm like, is he
done?
I told you, I'm slacking already. I thought the show was over.
She's already on lunch. I hear the union bell whistling. It's lunchtime. So that is it for us this week. We'll be right back next Tuesday. Find us everywhere you get your podcasts and wonderful video content. So until then, be kind to yourself, be kind to your animals, and we'll see you in a week.
Bow wow, meow for now. Why do you laugh every time I do that?
Because it's cute.